Thank you. So, yan, no? Thank you po for having us, no? This morning, actually, kami po ang nag-volunteer yata kay Bradley, no? Last month. No? Kasi matagal na kaibigan po dito. Matagal na pong matagal na pong napapagit sa akin yan. Every after breakfast, no? Titingin sa akin yan. Tapos sasabihin niya, di pa tayo nag-share ng actual, no? Face-to-face sa Marikina. Sabi nga po ni Chad, 2 years ago, nung Zoom sharing po namin. And hindi po kami sa Marikina o na nag-share sa ibang chapter. Kaya po, sobrang natuwa naman po ni when Brad Lino and Brad Eric told us na, sige bro, we will schedule your face-to-face sharing next time. So, kami po ay natutuwa that finally, we have been given the chance to share in front of our dear BCBP Manila. So I first attended po our men's breakfast, a men's breakfast via the invitation of our now chapter head, Brother Peter. And back then, our PPC president in our parish. That was 2017. And I got a taste of what it's like to hear colorful, spirit-filled, inspiring life stories from our brothers. I remember, I told Annie, no, every time I got back home, sa bahay po ni Brother Peter ang breakfast no, you know. Sabi ko sa kanya, Annie, I also want to someday, no, share my life story to my BCBP brothers. And I was so excited back then. Hindi pa kami nagsi-CNP. I tried writing my manuscript na that year. Ganun po ako ka-excited mag-sharing. I was 33 back then. I wasn't able to wrap up the manuscript for some reason. Parang hindi pa kompleto. Despite my telenovela life na from my childhood to my young adulthood, deep inside me, I know hindi pa tapos yung story. Parang something, the good part was still missing. So prior to meeting my beautiful wife, Annie, I was living a very carefree life. I was employed, I was rising up in my career path. I even had my own business on the side. I party almost every weekend or any given time after work with my friends. Siyempre, binata, bachelor, ano magagawin ko sa buhay, walang girlfriend. No exemption. I was even partying kahit Holy Week. I was not proud, but I succumbed to a lot of temptations back then. I told myself, I'd settle down kapag dating ko ng 40. Sabi ko, lalaki naman ako, what's there to lose? But that was my plan. The Lord has a different plan. And I quote on 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful and He will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, He will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. In 2014, I met my escape. I met Annie through a common friend. I was introduced. We messaged each other for a few weeks. Then after more than a month, I was able to convince Annie to meet me in person sa Old Spaghetti House in SM Marikina. I came from an 8-year relationship prior to Annie, and that relationship did not end well, so medyo kinakabahan ako. Wala na yung romantic side sa akin. On the day of our meet-up, Annie arrived. Then she called my name out loud, Rick! So lahat ng tao sa Old Spaghetti House tumingin. Kilala na nila, oh, si Rick pala yun. Doon pa lang siya, sumisigaw na siya. So, ganun siya ka-excited na i-meet ako. So, we said the basic highs and immediately, madaldal po ako ito. I started telling her the story of my life. I immediately felt at ease with Annie. She was glowing in my eyes. I found her attractive, but the glow did not come from that. It was something else. I know that the person sitting across me was a very good person. She was radiating Yun po yung word talaga nun. She was radiating the goodness of the Lord. Sabi ko nga sa kanya, it was not love at first sight. I was blessed at first sight. And let me quote a verse from Titus 2, verse 11 to 12. For the grace of God has appeared, bringing salvation for all people, training us to renounce ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in the present age. Our first date lasted for about 2 hours only, because she needed to return home to catch the 6 p.m. Mass in their parish. I remember I was minding on my way home because I already felt that I just met a really, really good person. We continued messaging each other and I learned that she goes to Mass every day at 6 a.m. Yung pang matanda ko yun, di ba? Yung naging classmate ko na rin po sa 6 a.m. Then it hit me, no? Back then, brothers and sisters, I don't go to church anymore. Alam ko po, mukha akong pari minsan sa ibang angulo ko. But, nagkaroon po ako ng 5 years of nothingness. I don't even pray during that period. But I kept that from Annie, although it bothered me. And because God knew that I was bothered, as the good father he is, he made arrangements. So during my panliligaw days, when I formally asked Annie, on our first date, no, yung blind date po, hindi ko siya consider the first date, 2 hours introduction. Annie required me to meet her at the EDSA shrine and attend first the 7:30 p.m. Mass before we have our date. To me, it was like I was really courting the favorite daughter of the Lord because of my shady faith back then. God needed to pray over me first, sprinkle some holy water, cleanse me a little, and remind me to be good while I am out on a date with her daughter. Mind you guys, Annie at that time was 37 and was NBSB.
No boy.
Yes. So talagang overprotective ang Lord sa kanya. I couldn't blame God for being that overprotective when I started dating Annie. So knowing that I was courting a favorite daughter of the Lord without telling Annie, I started attending Sunday Masses again. I started talking to him again. I remember, it was a Simbang Gabi Mass. I was talking to the Lord. I told him, Lord, kahit po mabasted ako, okay lang. Kasi po, at least nagsisimba na ako, nagdadasal na ako. Pero yun nga, may ibang plano si Lord. So you see, brothers and sisters, it was Annie who saved me. We got engaged in 2015. I married her a year after. Ba't ko pa ba naman patatagalin, di ba? We had Hero, our firstborn, in 2017. He was our honeymoon baby. We had Kati, our second son, by 2018. And we received our miracle baby, Rich, in 2020. Iba-iba po yung nickname, but they are all Ricardo Jose. Ricardo Jose, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. Because that is their family tradition. Okay, brothers, that is my opening part of my personal sharing. On this part, it should have been Annie's turn to give her introduction. But even though she is with me right now, she cannot do so because she cannot use her voice anymore. She cannot stand here beside me by her own strength. Hold this mic and tell you how God molded her, raised her, cared for her prior to meeting me. Why? Because of ALS, or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or Lou Gehrig's disease. You may have heard of our ALS story already. We were blessed 2 years ago to do a Zoom breakfast sharing with the chapter, and that year we were even selected to give a brief sharing during NAC. Some of you already heard our story of how a simple sore throat-like symptom in 2019 progressed into this rare terminal illness of Annie. Let me quote Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. Most of you here, since then, have been part of our army of angels. A lot of you here has given a ton of time praying for Annie's healing. People in this room has secretly shared financial graces to us. Don't worry, Tita, I come prepared. And thank you, Tita. And your beautiful faces, all of you, they remind us of how God has continuously extended His loving care to us. Brothers and sisters, our life sharing is not the usual. Life sharings are mostly past experiences where people experience trials and afterwards experience the saving grace of the Lord, thus being triumphant in their faith journey. Ours is an ongoing story, still being written as of this moment. Ours has been an ongoing daily struggle, but overwhelmed with miracles and miracles where God used different people from our community as His instrument of love and care for us. When we became part of BCBP and started attending our gatherings, we were already part of another charismatic community. Annie and I sometimes, we question ourselves, bakit, di ba? We are already part and active and serving in another community. So I have another community. We even serve in our parish. So that's another community. I remember yung nagkasal sa amin pare, sabi niya, oh, pahinga muna kayo sa community ha, kasi bagong kasal kayo. Focus on your married life. Focus on building your family. Yun muna, tapos after ako. Kasi alam niya, Annie has been in Singles for Christ for more than a decade na. But you see, that question was answered in 2021. After 2 years of various tests, numerous consultations with various doctors, Annie was diagnosed with an ALS. The disease is a neurodegenerative condition where her neurons die due to an abnormality caused by her own body. It weakens the muscles of Annie until now she is almost paralyzed. Until now, doctors are not sure about why it happens or what really causes it because patterns are irregular and patients have varying conditions. The reason why God led us to BCBP was because all of you here, guys, all of the people that we've met in this journey will be an important part. We would not be able to withstand this storm if not for you. And let me elaborate more as we continue with our story. In 2019, my wife complained of a sore throat which eventually turned her speech into someone like that of a stroke patient. In 2020, she started losing her grip. She started walking wobbly, and by 2021, we were already doing physical therapy and speech therapy, already trying to preserve her functions. But her speech by then is almost incomprehensible already. By 2022, a wheelchair was already necessary because falls and trips are becoming too often and dangerous already. Hypersalivation and muscle atrophy is also noticeable already in her hands, shoulders, and hips. And the speech of Annie was left with just groans and whines. Now on our 4th year with the disease, And she has gone weaker to the point where I mostly lift her up to transfer from wheelchair to bed. She also has a weakened neck, which scares me because if her head falls backwards and I don't see it, she might choke from her own saliva and would make breathing difficult for her. Due to difficulty in swallowing, she now only weighs 85 pounds. That is from a high of 150 pounds. Kaya kanina, hindi kami dumating sa, oh, kain na kayo. We eat for more than 2 hours. Matagal po siya kumain. Kaya po tumataba ako eh. Kasi dati, pagdating namin sa BCBP breakfast, kaya namin kumain ng 5 minutes. Okay, wait, tapos na. Kaya hindi na po kaya. She also suffers from mucus buildup. That's the face mask. Para po maano yung saliva, which makes it very difficult and uncomfortable for her. If I may quote Isaiah chapter 41 verse 13, I am the Lord your God who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Brothers and sisters, indeed the Lord took hold of my right hand. He told me not to fear the situation and he assured me of help. My once ever caring wife who tends to the kids while doing our home and at the same time showers me with love and affection through her daily actions is now paralyzed. She cannot move on her own. She cannot eat and drink on her own. She cannot even speak and tell me what she needs. Can you imagine that? You need something but you cannot tell it to the person beside you or your husband or your wife. Her mind is perfectly okay. Her comprehension is 100%. I asked her if I can go out with my friends and have a few drinks along the bars here in Hill Fernando. And she still says no with her firm brawn, coupled with the sharp stare. She can still type with one finger, although that is also difficult for her. But that still enables her to manage our online bank account, as small as the balance may be. Kakashare lang yun ng password. Sabi ko, ang tagal ng password. Ako na mag-input, tsaka ako na lang i-manage. She still remembers all the due dates of our remaining credit cards and still maintains, no? She still managed to maintain them. She even tells me what card I need to use, di ba? Ganun yun, if you jacket, ano? Di ba, Tita Florida? Para ma-maximize yung billing cycle. Ganun siya eh, kahit dati pa nung wala siyang sakit. Until now, siya po ang gumagawa nun sa relationship namin. Annie is like trapped in her immobile body. And because she cannot do the usual things that she does, I need to do it for her. When Annie got sick, being a husband for her really became a full-time job. I chose to be her primary caregiver, learning everything about this uncommon disease here in the Philippines. Dito po, medyo uncommon, siguro dahil hindi na-diagnose lahat. But in the US, there are around 40,000 cases now. Every 90 minutes, there's a patient being diagnosed. So I tried to learn possible cures, treatments, what supplements to take, how to take care of the patients, future predicaments. I read and study other patients' experiences, even if reading them sometimes scares me more. Because I am now aware of what is to come, of what can happen in the future. 2 years ago, you heard in our sharing that I feed her, I comb her hair, brush her teeth, I cut her nails, I help her pee and do number 2, and in a span of 2 years, ang bilis ng panahon, no? The Lord has graciously given me the strength to do this daily routine. I wake up around 5:30 a.m. beside my ever beautiful wife, still radiating. The radiance didn't really leave her. Look at her. And I look at her, beside her, and I wake up, she's still asleep. And I wait till she opens her eyes while thinking, what breakfast I should prepare for her and the kids. I get her cell phone for her and turn on the morning mass that she attends online. I then try to create an appetizing breakfast for everyone. I return to Annie by the bed to take her to the toilet for her morning routine. By 7:30 a.m., breakfast is served. Thankfully, I have an ever-loving aunt with us who helps me in preparing the kids for school and cooks rice and helps me with the dishes and the laundry. By 8 a.m., me and my eldest are off to school, which is just 5 minutes away from our house. I leave Annie by the dining table where she attends her second online mass. After I get back, we finish breakfast at around 9:30 because Annie needs time to chew her food. I then prepare all the supplements that she needs to drink. ALS doesn't have a cure yet, but there are FDA-approved medicines in the US that promises to delay progress. But we don't have access to them. Plus, they are really expensive, no? Ranging from 50,000 to 600,000 a month. And they promise to give you a life extension of 6 months on the end stage. But that is not guaranteed. Um, we are just taking with the supplement regimen that is a combination of what our neuro prescribed and suggestions from our US-based support group. Right now, she tries to drink 10 kinds of supplements 3 times a day. Ayaw po niyang mag-feeding tube, and I respect that. She was recommended to have that last year pa. She does not want that. So, by God's grace, nalulunok pa naman po niya dahan-dahan na. Pero scary dahil meron kaming ilang instances of choking incident. You know, I remember that was last year, no? Yeah. She had a near-death experience with a piece of kamote. Hindi ko siya napisa. Maliit lang naman, kaya lang siguro yung pagka-lunch, pangit yung angle. That was the first time I saw her face turn violent. Kakakumpisa lang niya the other day, so sabi nun niya kay Jesus Christ, kumukuha niyo po ako, buti po kayong araw kasi kakakumpisal ko lang kahapon. And imagine, a month before that, yung PT namin taught me how to do the Heimlich. Sabi niya, Kuya Rick, dapat you should know how to do this, so ganito yan. Pero during that instance, hindi ko naman alam kung tama yung ginagawa ko sa takot na takot. And then yun nga, in-pop ko. Yung kamote ko pa rin, sabi ko, kung natuluyan ka, pangit naman, di ba? Death by kamote. Kamote niya, yung kamote po ito. Kamote na lang, hindi. So, let me go back to our daily schedule. After, by 10:45, I set up the online class of our second son. And Mommy Annie watches nakatingin lang siya kay Kati doing the online class. While doing that, I start preparing lunch. After having lunch, which for Annie finishes around 2 p.m., I either do errands like grocery, or I buy medicine outside, or that's the time I can do my side hustles online, if ever I have a project at hand. To maximize time, I take a bath with Annie. So on this part of marriage, I am really privileged, no? Brothers, who among you here takes a bath with their wife on a daily basis? Normally, it will just be for special occasions to up the mood. But on my part, as you can see by the glow in my wife's face, she gets a full dose of romance from me on a daily basis. ALS gives patients 3 to 5 years of life expectancy. They say survival beyond 20 years is rare. But my guts is telling me that double dose of sweetness from kisses and hugs can up our chances. My daily routine would extend up to 10:30 p.m. when I can finally get Annie and the kids to bed. It would take me another hour just lying, sometimes, most of the times, overthinking on what's ahead for tomorrow. I would look at my sleeping wife and ask God if He can take away this cup of suffering from Annie. Yet, we want His will to be done and not ours. Giving you a glimpse of our daily, day-to-day routine, some of you might already be wondering, wow, this guy only mentioned an hour of side hustle or work. How can they earn a living and sustain the family? Most importantly, Anne's medical needs. Oh, maybe they're rich. Kitching, kitching. Or maybe they were born wealthy. And none of the above. Basically, we receive manna from heaven. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 26 to 27, look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns. And yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you be worrying at a single hour to your life? Brothers and sisters, just like what the Bible verse tells us, I really felt how much care the Lord has for us. It has been 2 years since the livelihood that has been my craft for more than 10 years has turned into ashes. The expenses, bills, family needs, and medical needs, they did not stop. They just continued to pile up. But you know what else piled up? You know what else didn't stop? God and His graces, His blessings, love coming from every direction, help and support, not just from families, but even from total strangers. Overwhelming concern from different communities. All of it embraced us. God made sure that we would feel Him always. And in John chapter 1, verse 16, and from His fullness we have all received grace upon grace. When the pandemic hit, we lost our business. We survived 2019 from our savings. We hurdled 2020 through donations from mostly our relatives. In 2021, I landed a remote administrative job for a year, which made me work graveyard shift. So Annie and the kids sleep, but I don't because I still need to work. And that arrangement lasted for a year. Annie did not want me to get another job like that because I was slowly becoming a zombie. Come 2022, I was getting a few online side hustles, but it was on and off. And honestly, at times, I just couldn't wrap my head around what I was trying to do. I know I can do that work. I know what to do, but the stress and the worries, they just eat me up. In 2022, we also started doing online selling of all sorts of stuff, plus an assortment of fundraising for Annie's medical needs. That's the t-shirt this Tita is wearing. Can you use that? Yes, model. 2023, pretty much the same in terms of finances. All throughout this journey, we were blessed to have generous relatives, very thoughtful friends of Annie. No, I can count my friends less than 10. But Annie, oh my goodness. Kulang ang hindi ko kaya isulat lahat sa dami. And syempre, the super kind and loving community members. If I may quote in Lamentations chapter 3, verse 22 to 23, The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Brothers and sisters, we could have not endured if not for the never ending mercy of God. If not for His enduring love. That love and mercy was channeled through BCBP brothers and sisters. I remember when I first did breakfast sharing online for Marikina, about probably 30 minutes after the session ended, so we said our goodbyes. Okay, black out. Our doorbell rang. I opened up the door. And there stood the doorbell. He opened, he opened his arms wide and told me, "Rick, come here. You need a hug." For me, it was not just a Tornironi. It was Christ manifesting in him. He then assured me that he will always be there for us. You know, he handed over an envelope with cash and told me, "Rick, just call me if you need any more help." And that was the last time we saw each other. You know, he was so good. I believe that being the ever so caring and loving lawyer that he is, he went up there personally to meet the Lord and submit our petition for Annie's case. In Galatians chapter 6, verse 2, carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. I am so grateful, no? Not just me, Annie cannot speak, but I am speaking on her behalf. We are so grateful to all of you. We are so thankful that we have you as our second family. When Annie was diagnosed, the Holy Spirit told us to never falter and see this as an opportunity to evangelize and proclaim all the more the goodness of the Lord. And that's what we did. And what have been doing since 2021. We were able to expand our support group for Annie by not hiding with the sickness, but in boasting that, hey, we have a terminal illness. The world is against us, but our God is bigger. Our God is greater than all of this combined. All thanks to the community, the breakfast gathering amidst the pandemic, we were able to reach chapters beyond Luzon. Now we have friends in Cagayan de Oro, in Bukidnon, and even abroad. Sabi ko nga kay Annie, natutulog ka na. May intercessory team pa na nagdadasal para sa'yo kasi gising sila tulog tayo. We gain new friends, a ton of prayer warriors. And I believe that the majority of our anonymous donors are from our BCBP family. And we can never thank you guys enough. Thank you for being Christ in our lives. Annie has a sharing part. And she just wants me to read it for her. I'm Annie Rufino. I cannot imitate her beautiful voice. Sobrang lambing po ng boses yan. What my family is going through may be likened to the story of Job in the Bible. We draw so much inspiration from Job. Like him, life was so good and sailing smoothly for us. We had a growing family, happy family, a small but booming tour operations business, and we're actively serving our parish and our Christian communities. But setbacks upon setbacks befell upon us. It was April 2019 when I first experienced the symptoms of my sickness. My mother, who meant the world to me, suffered a stroke that year also. Yan. No, so na-stroke po yung biyanan ko the same time na nag-start yung symptoms ni Annie. Akala nga sa hospital, na-stroke din siya kasi kung paano siya pagsalita. And then, in June, until now, yung biyanan ko po is wheelchair bound. And she has not yet regained her full memory. In June 2019, yung biyanan ko namang lalaki, nagkaroon naman ng problema sa kidney. And in 2020, he started dialysis. But he succumbed also from COVID. Then, we lost our business 2020. Diagnosed with ALS in February of 2021. You cannot diagnose po kasi ALS through laboratory exams. Through observations lang. Ganun makikita mo. Wala pong nakikita sa kanya. No? Lab test or blood results, okay lahat yan. Gusto pa naman niya pag nagpa-blood check-up siya, kasabay ako. Ako lahat yung may tick marks sa kanya. Okay lahat. Tapos, brain niya, okay lahat. We had EMG tests and almost 2 years since experiencing the symptoms. The most painful was when we lost our father due to COVID. Ay, tita Edwin. Mas maganda po sana si Annie pag walang mask. Kaya nag-overproduce po yung niya, yung salivary glands niya. Kasama po sa hypersalivation. In the story of Job, he loses his vast livestock, his servants and all his children. He was afflicted with horrible skin sores, but he never loses his faith in God. May I be like Job, who is refusing to give up, struggling to accept his circumstances. And the story ends with Job receiving his wealth back 1,000-fold more, having another 10 children and living a very happy, prosperous, long life. We see God's hands throughout our family's journey. He is with us every step of the way. Ours is a God who is all-loving, all-merciful, and all-powerful. Our struggles are our ticket to heaven. And He sends angels in the form of family, relatives, godparents, priests, nuns, friends, brothers, and sisters in our parish and communities. Even acquaintances to express His great love for us. I'd like to take this time to thank everyone whom Jesus sends our way to unceasingly pray for us, to spoil us with yummy food and thoughtful gifts, and in assisting us with my medication. You know how Annie did this sharing using one finger, and she typed for a couple of days just to finish a few paragraphs. Your love is healing me. Rest assured, we're keeping you all in our prayers. May God bless and keep you always. Stay joyful and safe. We are so loved. We thank and love you all po. I would not also want to miss this chance to honor a very beautiful person, our amazing Daddy Rick. He is his best gift to us. It's difficult to solely take care of a sick wife and 3 little boys, but our Dad Rick does it well. He always makes us feel loved, even at times. The kids and I are being too demanding. No matter what the future holds, it might be tougher than coming years. Ours is a faithful God. And in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, we know that all things work for the good for those who love God. God will never allow anything to happen to us that's not for our greater good. Okay, that was Annie's sharing. Back on my sharing again. Perhaps most of you here are wondering, how can you still communicate with each other? She completely lost her voice. 2 years na po. 2 years na. Naalala ko po nung pinagbuntis niya yung huli naming baby. Miracle baby po yun. May symptoms na siya. Pero nakakalakad pa siya. Pero yung voice niya, it went away first. Ballpark po kasi yung onset niya from top pababa. Other ALS patients, they can still talk pero hindi na sila nakakalakad. With Anne's case, nawala yung speech niya. We communicate with non-verbal cues and signals. Mga pintata. Magaling naman mga brothers natin dyan. She can still send messages via one finger to type. But the sentence for her would take minutes to finish. So if you can see her on Facebook, all the comments, she loves greeting people. Happy birthdays. Sabi ko nga, pag wala siya ginagawa, makikita ko lang yan, that time may binabati na naman happy birthday. Sabi ko, copy-paste mo na lang. Kasi ang tagal ng happy birthday ba? Buti na lang may predictive text na ngayon. That is so useful for her. Tayo naiinis tayo doon, pinapaunahan tayo ng cellphone natin. Pero siya, gusto niya. It's difficult for her with her down curled up fingers and muscle wasting in the hands. But my deep affection for my wife and that urge to take care of her more has allowed me to adapt and somehow understand her combination of groans, mumbles, eye movements, and facial expressions. So with just a simple moan, sabi niya, I would know when she needs to use the toilet. With just a soft whine, I know when she needs water. With just some mutters and facial expressions, I would know when she's asking me to scratch an itchy body part. Mahirap yun, diba? You try that with your spouse later. You try to tell them to scratch your nose without telling them that it's your nose that is itchy. Ang hirap din. She looks at something. She looks at something, and miraculously, it's like I heard an entire sentence from her telling me what she needs. Truly, now I understand the language of love. Surprisingly, even our children understand the eye movements and groans of their mother. Annie would whine a little and look at Hero, our eldest, and Hero would approach her and would probe questions. Alam na naman na yun na we need to ask Mommy. And Mommy would nod or reply with a groan. Whether putting her hands back up on her lap, fixing her phone at the correct angle on her lap, or wiping excess saliva, or even to wipe off a crawling ant. Minsan, di ba? Hindi naman niya mabubugaw yung langaw pag dumapo sa kanya or may langgam. Hindi niya maaano. So one day, I came from Mercury drugstore. She was crying pagdating ko. Kasi kinakagat na pala siya ng langgam. So, Hero would understand and would take care of Mommy Annie's concern. Hero would also call me when I'm not near Annie and tell me that her mom needs me. Amazing. God, perhaps through His angels around us, has made communication without words somehow possible. Naniniwala po ko na laging may angels sa tabi si Annie. Just last week, I saw a group member ng namin, support group. The patient died because of a fall. Nakailang bagsak na po si Annie prior to being wheelchair bound. Nagkaroon po siya ng bukol na malaki pa sa kamao ko. Takot na takot. Halos hinimatay siya, nilagnat siya, pati yung neuro namin natakot. Nakailang CT scan kami. Buti po wala naging complication. When I look back at how I was trained to be the talkative person that I am, natagdag po talaga ako eh. It's like God prepared me for this scenario. It has been more than a year, almost 2 years, since my wife lost her voice. More than almost 2 years that I talk, I ask questions, and I am also the one who answers them. Tanong ko, sagot ko. Di po ba kayo pag nagda-drive kasama yung mga asawa niyo, magkikwentuhan kayo? Oh yan yung over easy oh, masarap daw dyan. Sasagot naman yung mga misis niya, sige, kahit tayo dyan minsan. Ako, kapitong ko yung sarili ko. Ay, masarap daw dyan sa over easy. Sige, minsan kahit tayo dyan. Ako na rin nang sumagot. So, for husbands here, please don't take for granted your conversations with your wives. Even if they keep on nagging you over matters that you think are not that important. Ganun sila eh, di ba? You speak 5 words, they've already spoken 20,000 words. But brothers, cherish those moments. No? Praise and thank the Lord for your wife's voices and their ability to speak and convey how much they love you and your family. Because there are husbands like me who would give up everything just to hear again, converse again with their wives. I'd love to hear again my wife's sweet voice. I miss the way she laughs over my silly jokes. I miss the way she calls the kids and talks to them while she takes care of them. I miss the moments when she still can verbally tell me how much she loves me. I even miss hearing her sweet and innocent voice singing, which I hear every time she stands beside me during Mass. I read it too late, although we had the bull bar on set. For ALS patients, once you know that you have it, you record your voice kaagad. In the US, dahil mas mabilis sila mag-diagnose, kung may ALS po kayo, nakapagsalita pa kayo, you record your voice na kasi you will surely miss it. Sa amin, I read that part, wala nang boses si Annie. It's too late already. So now, I look for old video clips, na naririnig ko yung boses ni Annie. You know, my kids, na-amaze din sila. Oh, is that mommy talking? Pag nakikita nila yung mga tumang video, they can hear Annie speaking. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 to 8 and 13, that's a very famous Bible verse about love. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It's not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. So now, faith, hope, and love abide. These 3, but the greatest of this is love. Indeed, brothers and sisters, because of love, I am overflowing with nothing but care and kindness towards my wife. Because of love, I am patiently waiting for the Lord's instruction in our lives. Because of love, we don't envy other young couples who are living a normal life. Because of love, we submit to His will. I can bear all things because I so love my wife. We faithfully believe in God's promises in our lives, all because of love. And we never cease to hope for the miracle of healing, all because of love. And no matter how difficult the situation might be, I know that my love for Annie will endure anything. Our love for each other made everything bearable. Our faith to the Lord made us move forward. Our hope in His plans made us look forward to tomorrow. Our love with the Lord's love conquered everything for us. Annie pretty much needs assistance in almost everything. That's why I'm always on standby 24 hours a day. A regular caregiver could address the routinary care that the patient might need, but a professional caregiver would not be able to give the extraordinary love that my wife needs right now. I wipe her face clean, not because I need to clean her up, but because I treasure her. I help her transfer from one place to another, not because I'm obliged to do so, but because I genuinely care for her and would want her to feel the support that I can give her as her husband. I feed her and help her drink, not just because I don't want her to get hungry, but because I want to nourish her with every ounce of affection that I can squeeze into every action that I do for her. I'm given the chance by God to take care of Annie in a special way, not normal for other husbands. Do I see this as a struggle? No. I praise and thank the Lord for this opportunity given to me. When I pledged my love for Annie in the altar, to have and to hold her from that day forward, basically, I am doing that right now. I'm just being true to my promise to her in front of the Lord. We consider being part of BCBP a blessing from God. He worked out His plan in our lives perfectly. If I backtrack everything on why I ended up here in front of you sharing this morning, it was because back in 2014, I picked an apple. I broke a tooth and went to the dentist who happened to be the best friend of my wife, Annie. Kung kilala ko na si Doc Oka, bakit Doc Oka ako nagpunta. That dentist hooked us up. We got married and I started living here in Marikina, where due to the influence of my wife, I became an active parish worker where I met Brother Peter. And the rest was really a wonderful God-given history with Marikina chapter. Our difficulties are not yet over. We still have daily struggles. And the devil, he never stops hammering down on what I should see as negative. Every day. The enemy would also point out how, from a different perspective, Eric, you have a miserable life. The enemy would at times point to me people who seems to be perfectly fine. They have an awesome life. They have a growing family. They have an expanding career and business. And then he made me feel incompetent and useless. My entire resume of achievements now worth nothing. In those days, I still feel down. At times, I get mad easily over small stuff. I get annoyed easily by my kids. I get frustrated easily over Annie's never-ending requirement for assistance. I am not perfect. I am not as strong as all of you think I am. I am not a saint. During moments when I fail, I know that my wife feels it too. I know when she closes her eyes and tears drop from them, I know that she is crying for help, asking God to grant me more strength, to endure more, and to never let go. Thus, I have a plea, brothers and sisters. Please continue to pray for us, for Annie's healing, and for me, for strength. You are all part of the army of God that supports and protects us. And it really helps to know that we have brothers and sisters in BCBP who can always help us pray. He knew from the start that we would need a lot of prayer warriors, kind-hearted individuals, strong men of women, strong men and women of faith, people dedicated to His mission. In Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 8, the Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Every day, brothers and sisters, I pray for a miracle. And God does not disappoint. At times, I already feel ashamed when I worry because it's like I don't trust Him enough. It's like God as a father tells me, hey, Rick, you still don't trust me? Have I ever failed you? Have I ever made you feel forsaken? Just like Jesus praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, knowing the possibilities of what is to come, I also pray, sorrowful and troubled. My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, from us. Yet, not as we will, but as you will. If it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless we drink it, may your will be done. Thank you for listening to us this morning. Thank you for sharing your faith with us. Thank you for being Christ for us. Thank you for being our BCBP family.
Thank you, Rick and Annie, for that